In this section, in the Baneful Magick course, we will be moving on to sigillic attacks. This is something that's very basic, something that's very easy to do, and something that you can involve in various other rites too. So what we're going to do is, I just drew out a sigil here. This is the very basic version of a sigil that you can possibly do. Just a circle cut out on paper with the sigil, and this is the sigil of Glaciolabelos, a baneful demon. Now, if I was going to use the sigil quite often, I would actually create concentric circles, draw concentric circles with the name around the border. I'm not doing that now because I'm just going to be using this sigil once. I'm currently actually working on a target while making this course. So what I'm going to be doing is, I'm going to actually be using all these different techniques onto this target. And I feel very, very, very bad for this person, but they deserve it. So, first off, we have to run through, how does this work? Sigils are artificial gateways that we create on paper. And we open these by scrying into them. And we charge them with our intent and our desire. And then once the essence or the presence of the spirit is called forth and they have their task, we then send them off to a task. It's as basic as that. This doesn't get any more basic. You know, this is the most basic version of Baneful Magick that I can really think of. Well, this and candle spells, but we'll get on to that shortly. So, firstly, what you're going to need is a sigil of your chosen spirit. Does it have to be a demon? No, it doesn't have to be a demon. It can be an angel, a demon, a spirit. It can be a planetary force, anything that is baneful in nature. And but I just went with Glaciolabelos because I felt gravitated to working with this demon. You're going to need the sigil. You can be as basic with it as possible, like I did, or you can be as complex and artistic as possible. So if you're using, if you're going to constantly work with that entity, you can create a seal. You can take an actual wooden seal, wooden circle that's three-dimensional, and you can actually use transfer paper, create a sigil on the transfer paper, place that onto the wood. You can also take a wood burning tool that you can buy on something as simple as like Amazon or eBay or whatever. You can then trace that and then burn that through, and you can actually then anoint that with, actually you can paint it with colors associated with the spirit, and then you can literally anoint it, the entire sigil, the entire seal with oils. You can burn various incenses to fumigate the seal. You can be as elaborate with it as possible. This is the most basic version, and that's what we're going with right now. So, you're going to need your sigil. You're going to need to know the name of the entity, of course. On top of this, you should have read a little about the entity. This is known as preparatory immersion. Preparatory immersion, understanding the entity before you start summoning it right away. And this is easy in this day and age because it's a few mouse clicks away from a whole plethora of information on different demons, spirits, entities. You can check forums, pages, Facebook groups, grimoires, various websites, whatever. And you're bound to find loads of information on specific entities. So, you're going to need this. You can light some candles, you can light some incense associated with the spirit, for example. If that's what you want to do, that's completely fine. Let's hop on over now to my altar. Okay, so I've cleared some space here, and what we have is very basic, very basic. Now, like I said, you can light some candles, you can light some incenses, search up about the entity, find out about the entity. Now, I'm not going to go the candle route, and I am not going to go with the incense route. What I have chosen to do is taking a specific oil that I know this particular deity likes and accepts as an offering, and this is rosemary. This demon is quite fond of rosemary, and it is an attribution to the actual entity. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take a few drops of this, and I'm going to open the sigil first, okay? Now, how do we open sigils? How do we go about doing this? It's very easy, okay? First off, the common mistake that people make is looking directly into the sigil. We don't want to do that. What we want to do is quite different. So we're actually going to open the sigil now. And you're going to come along with me, and I'm going to teach you how to do this. It's by far one of the most basic things to do. Now, you're going to grab your sigil. You're going to place it in front of you. And what you want to do is you just want to begin focusing on your breath. Take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath out. Focus on the intent that you have in mind. What is your intent for calling forth this entity? Why are you calling forth this entity? Have your sigil at hand, maybe an offering like I have, and I've got right here a medical lancet. And I've already taken some rubbing alcohol and placed it on my thumb ready. And what we're going to do is we're going to give a blood offering onto the sigil. Now, begin by first gazing at the sigil. What do I mean by gazing? Do not look at it. Do not stare at it. Do not focus on it. When I say gaze, I literally mean gaze. Look at the air over the sigil. So I'm not looking at the sigil. I'm looking at the air over the sigil. Now, there are moments in our lives where we can get distracted. There might be a television show on that you don't like, that somebody is watching, and you just gaze out into the air, and you start to notice that everything blurs. That blurriness, it's a distortion in the area. That's what we're trying to replicate here. We're looking to distort the area, looking to distort our own vision. Not completely, subtly. I'm actually going to light a candle now. Okay, so we're going to open up the sigil. Like I said, gazing over the air of the sigil. Allow your eyes to relax, your vision to relax, to become blurred, essentially. To gently look upon the air. You may find that looking all over the air is easy. Some people can't do that. So what I tell them to do is think of an imaginary point just above the sigil and just towards you, just here, and gaze at that point. Allow your vision to unfocus until everything takes on that daydreaming like quantum soup. And as that begins to happen, focusing on your breath, pull your vision back. Allow your vision, think of your vision as the camera, essentially. If your vision was a camera, I want you to zoom out. That's a perfect analogy, actually. Our sight is very much like a camera. Right now I'm focused. Everything is coming in clear detail. Unfocus your vision. Just like turning the dials on the camera. It'll become blurry. And as it becomes blurry, zoom out and keep your eyes on that one point. As simple as that. And as you do this, you'll notice the sigil will start to blur. Not entirely, but slightly. Become fuzzy. And as you do this, begin calling on the name of the entity. So I'll begin calling on the entity. Glacelabelos, 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 Glacelabelos. I call you forth. Come. Glacelabelos. Come. I summon you forth now. I call you forth. Hear my voice, see my signs, and do not forsake me. Baneful demon, I summon you from the pit. Arise to my calling. Come. And as you do this, repeating the name of the spirit over and over. Begin whispering it. Allow your body to sort of gain a momentum. So I'm speaking in essentially a conjuration. Allow the conjuration to gain a rhythm, like a song, and allow your body to rock with that rhythm. Amidst the disorientation of the vision, the rhythm, and everything like this, you'll notice the lines of the sigil might begin to flash. And if they don't begin to flash, then they may actually become three-dimensional and jump off the paper. Or maybe the entire sigil becomes white, or covered in static rain, or covered in a fog, the scrying mist. Maybe it becomes completely black. But when these surreal alterations occur, this is when the sigil opens. And when that happens, what you're going to do is you're going to enter a receptive state. Enter a receptive state. When everything begins to blur, if you enter deeper and deeper into the chant, into the calling, and try to keep your eyes open for as long as possible here, not only will this blur, but everything else completely zones out, as if obliterated, as if it was never there. And it is our observation and our perceptions in these spells and in these rituals that are vitally important. So now I'm going to continue. The sigil opened rather quickly. That was rather quick. For me, it became all white, flashed, and certain lines appeared in 3 dimensions, whilst other ones were disappearing, as if it's a whole new image altogether. At this point, I will now address the spirit. Demon, I have opened your sigil and I have opened your sign. And I'll focus on the vision of what I want to occur. And I'm not going to say the target's name right here, but you should. I don't want to say this on camera, just in case of any legal technicalities. Drive him to madness. Drain him of hope and vitality. Assail him day and night with torment. Go forth into the world and bring about his demise. Do not release him. Do not relinquish him from your grasp. Choke the life out of him, drain the hope out of him, drain the love out of him until he is but a colourless husk, weak, broken, drained, malnourished, malleable to my sorcerous works, plague him with illness and tragedy. And what I did there was visualizing the actual scenario that I wanted. And I focused on my overwhelming desire for that thing to manifest, for that thing to happen. And I felt the energy of that desire, because it's an excitement for it to happen, or it's a need for it to happen, but it's an actual urge, an actual surge. And by breathing in and gathering that energy and pushing it down my arm, out of my right hand, always right hand to push things out, left hand takes. As I'm doing this, I'm pushing that power into the sigil. I'm also projecting the vision of where I want to occur into the sigil, and I am giving a statement of intent onto the sigil. And now I'm returning to that state again, and I'm receptive. And I'm back in the state. Like I said, this is quite quick for me, and with time, it'll be quick for you. As the sigil opens, I start to feel the presence magnifying the room, as if he's gathered all around me, ready to fulfill this task. I'm just visualizing right now, seeing it occur. Do not have any emotions or regret. Don't visualize the funeral. Don't visualize the crying or you know, if this is death or anything like that. Do not visualize any negative aspects. Visualize only the suffering and torment that you want. What is it you want? What is it you want? Project that into the sigil. And the voice is clearly speaking to me. The voice of the demon is clearly echoing, but it's echoing all around me and within me. Within me. And now, the blood offering. This is vital. Take your medical lancet. I'm going to use my thumb. Glass Levelus. Grand Demon. I have called you forth to destroy my target, to deliver unto him suffering, to deliver unto him agony, to bind him to his weakness, to destroy and obliterate him. And I thank you for answering my call, and I thank you for coming and responding so quickly. And I offer unto you this blood. I feed you my essence, the blood that flows through my veins, the blood that flows through my ancestors and my family, the blood of a man, the blood of a beast, the blood of a god. Demon, take upon this offering, take upon this token of my gratitude. Draw from my blood power to go out into the world and to fulfill this task. There's a Labelos Grand Demon, an offering of rosemary for you. Placed onto your seal. I mark your seal and I mark your sign in blood. Payment, the token, empowerment, and the oil of rosemary. A token and an offering. Go now. Do not rest until you bring about the destruction and the obliteration of So it is done. I thank you for coming, demon. Thank you for coming. I said the name in my head. It's as simple as that. At this stage, what do you do now? You've pushed your energy and your power into the sigil. You've given blood. Maybe you've given us another offering too, like I have, or maybe even more. But it's as simple. We're starting with the simple sigillic attacks. Now, as you can see, all that blood on there. The entire thing is smothered in my blood. Now we will release the spirit and the remaining energy from the sigil. A lot of people say not to. There are different views and different opinions on this. People will tell you to sometimes fold it up and carry it with you. But this isn't a spirit to affect my life. If it's something to affect your life, as in money for example, yes, you would fold that up and put it in your wallet and keep it on your person to attract that into your life. I don't want to attract baneful energies into my life. I want this person gone. And I need this spirit gone into the life of that person. And these energies completely gone from this area into the life of that person to affect them, to attack them. The next part of this is dismissal. Thank you, Grand Demons. I thank you. I release you indefinitely. I'm going to burn the sigil. You might have some difficulty to burn here. Be careful when you do this. And I'm going to gaze into the flames. As I'm gazing, I'm visualizing my intent. And as the smoke rises, I sense the energies and my intent, my desire into that sigil releasing into the universe, releasing into the world and into the cosmos. Like the burnt offerings of the ancients upon mountains and hills. They would burn offerings, and it would be the smoke that was the messenger that would carry the sacraments and the offerings and the praise and the hymns up into the heavens. This is releasing into the world. So now it's as simple as that. That will have an effect. Here's the thing, however. There are these type of exercises and these type of rites where we say, well, they're so simple. So simple. How could such a simple thing have such a tangible results? Such potent effects. But it does. It does. Let's sit down and discuss why. Something as simple as burning a sigil, something as simple as opening the sigil, calling it forth. You can use ends, praise, mantras. I vibrated the name as the mantra and I just give a simple conjuration to that entity. And then when the entity manifested and its presence was felt and the gateway between me and that entity, that artificial astral gateway was opened, I projected into it the vision of what I wanted to occur. And I said a statement of intent and a statement of will. And I breathed out power along with remaining energies within me of hatred. Hatred. Remember that rage we were talking about? Push that in there. If you must do the meditation beforehand, do it. Gather up that fire of the wrathful destroyer. And push that into the sigil. That will give it an extra kick, an extra charge, and make things a lot more potent. It's the more you invest yourself into these practices. So how does something as simple as this work? I have done some of the most complicated rites that I can fathom. I have fasted for days and weeks on end, cleansed and purified myself through spiritual bathing, hours of meditation, intense even asanas at times, even ritual lashings. I've done these intense things which do produce results. Yet it's insane to know that there is actual power in simplicity. There's extreme power in simplicity. This is the basic, sure, but it does produce results. You have to Allow your logical and analytical mind to be taken out of the process and not ask why. Now, sigil opened, everything done, spirit released, offerings given, spirit called, all these things are released. Now, retract from that. Ignore it. Go out, live your life. If there are remaining residual energies of hatred, or you feel like that's not enough, something else needs to be done. If you feel like it's not enough, then let's move on into candle spells in the form of sympathetic magic. Now here's the altar. This is my basic normal setup, everyday setup. Now what I will be doing here is I'll be using a simple black candle. Now the only difference between what I'm doing and what you might be doing is I have anointed the candle beforehand. What is anointing? It's taking a fluid or taking a fluid-like substance, an oil in this case, an elixir, and covering the entire candle with it, or the entire item with it. And that's what I've done. But the elixir that I have used is my Baneful elixir right here. Sorry, that's the wrong elixir. I've got many of these. Baneful elixir right here. If you're interested in picking up oils like that, there are many oils like that, except for mine's a little more intense and a little more potent. If that's something you'd like, then I also sell that on my Facebook page, The Infernal Obelisk, so you can go check that out. Because it's such an extreme elixir, I had to wear gloves to anoint the actual candle, because I don't want to go getting any of that stuff on my hands, because it's that dangerous. So what I will be doing is I'll be using black. Black is an altogether baneful color, and black is just a great color to use in almost any operation of black magic. So what I'll be doing is I'm going to light the candle. Like I said, this is the basics. As this candle burns, what we're going to be doing is, like I said, I don't want to be touching it at all. You haven't got to use an elixir if you don't want to, that's fine. But right now I'm about to stand in front of the candle and walk you through the entire process of using the black candle. So I begin by gazing into the flame. I'm going to gaze into the flame the same way that we gazed into the sigil. I suggest that you perform the meditation of wrath beforehand, so you're juiced up before you even get into the spell. And that's what I've done. I'm feeling those energies of hatred flowing through me, the urge for vengeance and justice. Feel an essence of wickedness vibrating through me. I'm sensing that. I'm falling into that. I'm picking up on the impressions within me. And as I gaze into the flame of the candle, as I relax my vision and slightly zoom out, the candle flame takes on an oval shape in my vision, almost like an egg. And as I see it like that, I visualize my target. And black can be used for destruction, death, bindings. It can be used for domination. So if you're trying to dominate a certain aspect of somebody, if your target's a stubborn person, if they have protections on them, black is a conquering, dominating colour.
because it absorbs all the other colours. It is a predatorial colour, and that's why it's used for Baneful Magick. You can use other colours, but for now, for this walkthrough, we'll be using primarily black. So, begin inhaling, pulling that fire. Like I said, you should have done the meditation beforehand. Pulling that fire through you, up into your third eye. And as you breathe out, create a ray from your third eye to the flame of the candle. A crimson ray of rage, a beacon, a ray of hatred, vengeance, wrath. I'm feeling that even now. I do apologise, but I'm trying to stay collected, and I shouldn't. Should actually be giving into it, giving into the hatred, giving into the wrath, giving in to the scum that needs to be killed, that needs to be torn down. I'm going to use this to destroy part of his life, the foundations he has in place, and gaze into the candle. And through breathing, I'm pushing more of that fiery crimson astral energy through that red beacon, that red energy connecting me and the flame as one. And that's what you want to do. You want to connect to the flame. Inhale, and even pour the energy of the flame in. And as you exhale, pushing your fiery energy into it until it's this circular give and take by breathing. And I just want you to do this for a couple of minutes, about a minute or two or 3, 5 even, till such a strong connection has been made with that candle. And as that happens, visualize the flame aglow with your hatred, aglow with your rage. Visualize that that flame then becomes red and crimson, like the fire within you, like it's an externalization of that inner power of wrath. And as you gaze into it, it's like looking into a mirror. Remember, when you're pushing this fiery energy and hatred out, you're also pushing the emotion out. Visualize what you want done to your target. As you breathe out, pushing that rage, pushing that wrath, pushing that desire through that ray into the flame. So you're funneling all of this into the flame. Do this for a couple moments. Once connection with the candle and with the flame is strong, then that's great. You can consecrate this candle beforehand even, and I'll show you how we do that in a moment. But when we gaze into the flame in such an intense way like this, and visualizing what we want to occur and pushing that through the ray, we're then going to activate the baneful spirit of fire. There's a baneful side to everything in life. There's a positive and a negative, a beneficial and a baneful. Even the elements themselves have these qualities, and the elements themselves are conscious. So I'm going to hold my hands near the flame, and I'm going to push power into the flame. I'm going to essentially program this element, speak to the element, and awaken it. And I'm going to awaken it to become the gateway to my target. Because fire is one of the major spiritual gateways. And like I said, I'm not going to speak the name of my target, but you should. So when you hear me become silent, state the name of the target. Creature of fire, spirit of flame, I activate you and I infuse you with my power. I infuse you with my energy. I infuse you with my magic, and I bring you to life. Awaken now and look upon me and hear my words. Become the gateway to the heart, body, mind, and soul of so all these powers and all these forces and all these energies may go outward from this temple. And once dismissed, enter into this gateway and into such is my will, and my will be done. At this point, it is good to simply sit with the candle and simply meditate with this candle, pushing your intent, the vision of what you want to occur, into the flame. And what I want you to do is actually speak to the flame. You can even visualize your target sleeping. And as you speak into the flame, you're speaking to them. If we're looking to affect them personally, manipulate them, dominate them, destroy them, or even harm them, speak into the flame. Speak into the flame and speak to their mind. And you can say their name and say, fall into madness, fall into delirium, fall into insanity, be amidst the confusion. May you lead to instability, 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 blackness and madness, blackness and madness, blackness. Well, let's say you're speaking to the heart, to their emotions. State their name. May you feel sorrow. May your heart be drained of all light and all love. May all your worries, fears and insecurities become prominent now and become true. Feel nothing but pain and misery, regret and sadness, envy and hate and spite, emotional insecurity. May you fall into an empty hollowness within your own heart. May nothing satisfy you. May you be unable to love, and others unable to love you. You are unlovable, you're unlovable, and your ugly face is shown. You cannot hide. You cannot hide. You cannot hide. You cannot hide. You see, and I'm more involved in that part. And you could even see that by the growth of the flame. The flame is very important. The flame acts as the gateway to the person. So even take note in how the flame reacts. You can even speak to their body. Command their muscles to become weak. If it's a man, command even erectile dysfunction to happen. Talk to their immunity system. Speak to their body. Become weak, malnourished, dehydrated. Speak to the spirit. Become infected, darkened, bound. Dominate them with your will, pushing more and more will into the flame, more and more hatred into the flame, the vision, everything. And always speak your intent. God supposedly spoke creation into existence. Speak your creation. And your creation is this spell. At this point, I would personally recommend you let the flame burn all the way down. Of course, sometimes this just isn't possible. Sometimes. Don't worry, that is fine. You can always blow out the flame. And when you have time, relight it. And you can even repeat this process of the same spell, performing it numerous times. Over and over, if that's what you wish. I'm going to blow it out right now. So it is done. So it is done.
It's as simple as that. Now, when it comes to candle magic, colors do have an effect, of course. But I'll be 100% honest with you here, colors aren't important. They aren't really important. You can actually use two substitutes. You can use black and you can use white. Black absorbs all the colors and therefore can distribute out any spectrum. White emanates all those colors out anyway. So you can use those two candles. However, let's say if you wanted to get into specifics, which is fine. Let's say you wanted to curse somebody, remove love, curses of removing things like love, passion, sensuality, sexuality. We want to decrease someone's libido, make them, like I said, have erectile dysfunction, mess with their entire love life or sex life. Use a red candle. If you're focusing on them being destroyed, absolutely destroyed in an accident or illness of the blood, also use red. You can also use white as a symbol of life and that you want their life drained from them. And white is actually, from my own experience, a color of madness. Now you can also use grey for sickness. Green can also be used for sickness too, as well as black. You can use green for cursing somebody's foundations of wealth, destroying their financial credibility. You can use, so basically looking at the color associations when it comes to candles, everything, if it can do one thing, it can do the inverse. You know, so green is abundance, prosperity. It can also do the inverse. This is a magical law that is a place for everything in our lives. It can do one way and it can take away. And this applies to herbs too. It applies to gemstones, crystals, colors of candles. You know, if you want to, for example, purple is used for illumination and spiritual sight. Indigo, violet, purple, these colors. And power. Indigo is also, and violet and purple are also colors of power. You can use that to strip away power from them, or to shut their astral senses off, so they may never stumble upon this path, or so they may have their astral defenses lowered or weakened. Now, consecration of a candle is very simple. You can buy consecration oil if that's what you want to do. That is entirely up to you. You can buy consecration oil. You can also, as I said, the best thing to really get for baneful workings that I've ever used is the baneful elixir that I've been using. And like I said, if you want to get that, check out the Infernal Obelisk Facebook page. It's released through there. Many magicians I've sent this out to have claimed this is the best elixir they've ever used when it comes to baneful workings or when it comes to curses and attacks. J.S. Garrett, Serial Krabat, and so on can attest to this. You want to get yourself a black candle or whatever candle you're working with. And if you're using the baneful elixir, then I would suggest, well, no, most definitely I would tell you to take caution. Take gloves. You can also wear a face mask just for that extra protection. And drop a few of the droplets onto the candle. Begin rubbing this in to the candle and allowing it to dry on your altar or onto any space. I would suggest pouring something down, like a tissue paper, newspaper, or something like that, because you don't want the baneful elixir to drip onto something. It is that powerful that it can even curse things that it touches. Luckily, this is another black handle. So, when you anoint it, you can hold your hand over it and speak the consecration. So let's get into that. I'll actually visualize around me at this point the shadows in the corner of the room. I'll close my eyes and I'll visualize the entire area, the entire temple area, as I say this summoning. I call upon the powers of darkness. I summon forth the powers of destruction. I call onto the dungeons of the pit and the abyss. I call upon all the wicked things that burrow through the earth, devils that fly through the sky, things in the waters and in the shadows. I call upon the powers of evil. I call upon the powers of destruction. I call upon the powers of bane. I call upon the powers of darkness, darkness eternal and darkness absolute. And at this moment, what I'm doing is, as I am saying this, it's a simple calling onto these powers. Now, back in the day, years ago, I would have a full written consecration actually in a book, and I would read from that. But you know, the more and more I've grown as a magician, I've realized that that is the completely wrong way to go about it. The reason why is because you do not want to be distracted by the words in the paper. You want to be in the moment. And as you visualize the shadows emerging around you, as you're speaking a calling of darkness, a calling of these destructive powers, visualize that darkness coming closer to you as you breathe in. So breathe in. Feel the pressure around you gathering. As you breathe out, feel the darkness move away from you. And visualize this like a cloud of blackness, a spiritual blackness. You can hear screams inside the blackness. You can hear growls inside the blackness. You can hear wailing and screaming and the noises of battle shields, the noises of hell itself. You can hear the noises of slithering and beasts. Allow all these sensations to be experienced and running through your mind. And breathe in again and feel them come near you, closer and closer. And as they exhale, as you exhale, they move further away. At this point, you want to gain a critical pressure. Allow those powers around you to gain a critical pressure. And then breathe them in. Breathe that power in. Breathe that darkness in. Experience it. Breathe it in through your mouth. Breathe it in through your nose. The blackness flowing down into you. If you want to take this consecration even another step further, do that meditation. Do that wrathful meditation. This is what I'm saying. In this course, I will only be teaching the most applicable and usable methods that yield the most success and that you can use throughout everything. And that meditation we can surely use for almost everything to push that power of the wrathful one. And if you want, if you're doing both, if you're breathing in the darkness and you're also infusing powers of hatred, push with one hand that spiritual blackness, that darkness and the powers of destruction. And with the other, you can cycle your hatred, your wrath,
the power of the wrathful one and that crimson fire into the candle. And as you do this, visualize a fiery crimson and black astral fire spreading from your hands into the wick, into the wax. And if you've anointed the candle, visualize it seep into the candle, seep into the wax, seep into the particles, seep into the wick, deeper down into the atoms, changing the very identity of the candle. And hold your hands over it and state, I consecrate you in darkness. I consecrate you in wrath. I consecrate you in domination. I consecrate you with the power that I have. Creature of wax, spirit of this blackened candle, may you become the lamp of bane. May you become a creature of magic to use upon this crooked path. For I infuse you with this power, and I infuse you with this intent. Come alive now. 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 As you do that, you'll begin to feel almost a pressure building in your hands, pulsating. Maybe you'll feel a coldness like I feel too. Or maybe even a heat, because that's what I'm experiencing right now. It's so odd. I'm experiencing heat in this hand and coldness in this one. Like the powers of darkness are cold, and the powers of wrath are heat, fire. And the union of these two into this candle can produce a great, potent result. And you would take this candle and you would perform your candle spell. And that is taking it a step further.